Sorry for the technical difficulties, everyone. Hopefully, everybody can join back up and hear me. All right, hey guys. Sorry for the technical difficulties. I know it's not fun to have to keep joining back up, but unfortunately, I have no idea how this Facebook Live works. So today's my first time trying it, and we're having some technical difficulties, but we're gonna figure it all out together. Hey, what's up, Kevin? Thanks for joining. While we wait for everybody to join back up, we're gonna go ahead and reconnect to live ATC to fill some of the blank space here. But don't worry, we'll be right back with you as soon as everybody is able to join back up.
End of speed 262, reported ground continue on Bravo Sugar Golf.
Bravo Sugar Golf,
And JetBlue 29, continue on Golf Alpha, and then it'll be Golf Alpha Lima Bravo.
Continue Golf Alpha Lima Bravo for JetBlue 29.
Fairwinds 171, your sequence will be a JetBlue, be turning in front of you. Once you see him, you can continue down Bravo, you have information here.
Alright, we got information here behind JetBlue, continue on Bravo with Fairwinds 171. Ground there, 6263, double four, double two.
And for your 4336, you're going to be following in Spirit ahead of you. You can monitor Sparrow once you start moving down Bravo.
Alright, we'll follow Spirit and monitor Tower for 4336.
And of 5263, Bravo holds to the taxiway Juliet and keep me advised.
Bravo Short Juliet, gate is open. Do one.
And Endeavor 5263, then continue via Bravo Golf Alpha Zulu to the ramp.
Bravo Golf Alpha Zulu ramp.
And pick up 5895, will there be room for one to come in via Zulu?
Yeah, should be able to for the Delta side.
Alright, just hold there and I'll get you moving shortly. You're gonna be, let's see, number 8 in sequence, okay?
American 2302, we're clearing with Delta 3.
American 2302, reporting ground speed, Bravo Echo, and to ramp.
Bravo Echo ramp, good day, 2310.
Hey sis, saw your question there, commenting as we speak. Yes, you are allowed to wear sunglasses. As you can see, I'm wearing the quintessential pilot aviators here, some Ray-Bans. The one big thing about wearing sunglasses in the cockpit is that you have to make sure they're not polarized. Polarized sunglasses can sometimes have an adverse effect on us viewing the computer screens in front of us. So they say not to wear polarized sunglasses, but that's no big deal. You can get them polarized or unpolarized.
and Endeavor 5263 on Zulu, right? I can see Zulu, right?
Zulu ramp.
All right. Looks like we're getting some more people joining the live stream here. Gonna get started back up in just a few minutes as we had some technical difficulties with Facebook Live.
Traffic 6056 for number 2 at 16 Alpha. We're going to coordinate a crossbreed start at some point.
Traffic 6056, Roger.
Hey guys, thanks for joining up. It's going to be just a few minutes. If everybody could just please be patient since we're waiting on people to join back up. I had some technical difficulties and I was going to close the old live stream. New one is back up. And we will get going here in just a little bit. In the meantime, if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comment stream there, and I'll answer any questions that you have. That is, if I know the answer.
Picture 5895 behind the CRJ9, runway 31, taxi via Zulu Alpha, and then it'll be Lima Bravo straight up Mike for Statham.
Hey Chrissy, hope y'all are doing well out there.
Picture 5895, runway 31, Zulu Alpha, Lima Bravo to Mike.
695, Zulu Alpha, Lima Bravo.
Picture 6056, runway 31, you're going to follow traffic outbound via Zulu Alpha, Mike Bravo.
Right now we're listening to live ATC, and I guess I can go ahead and add some context to it here as we listen, as we wait for some more people to join up. This is the company iPad that we get that has the map of LaGuardia we were listening to and looking at earlier on the website, but this is what we use while we're in the cockpit. We can zoom in here and see the different runways and taxiways and all sorts of different information. Now this airport map is orientated with north being up. So just like a compass, and I think my brother-in-law had a question earlier about how we determine what those numbers are at the end of the runway. Well, we use the compass 360 degrees, and whichever way the runway is orientated with one of those degrees is what we name the runway. So good job there, Nathan. So this is the map that we use to get around. And we can zoom in on it.
Continue Lima Bravo short of Mike, and then I'll just repeat once you turn it on the other way. So Lima Bravo short of Mike, 5895, just an entry off the DCA, and I'll have you in the line for in a second.
We can see.
Right on Lima Bravo short of Mike, 5895.
So you just told them to go Lima Bravo, and then they're going to stop short of this taxiway here.
Ground runway 31 taxi November Bravo, 8 information here.
All right, looks like we've got a good group of people back up and on the live stream here, so we'll get going back with our airplane lesson. Hopefully you were able to join the last one and get a good tour of the airplane that I fly, the Airbus 220. We've got that airplane right here. Whee! So what we're going to do is we're going to, oh wait, hold on, turn ground off there. They're quite annoying while I'm trying to talk here, but we've got the Airbus 220 right here, Delta's latest and greatest new airplane. So we're going to go over some different airplane parts, which I'm sure you are probably all aware of, but if you're new to aviation and you're wondering uh, what we call some of these parts on the airplane, we're going to go over them. So up here we've got the cockpit. This is where the pilots sit. Most airplanes these days have two pilots, so one on the left, one on the right. The captain sits on the left side, and the first officer sits on the right side, or the co-pilot, as most people call him. As we go down the airplane here, we've got the entry door. We've got an emergency exit window here in the middle of the airplane. And then as we go all the way to the back here, we've got a galley door. This can also be used as an exit if we need to, but this is typically where they bring all of the supplies for the airplane, like the drinks and food and everything. They bring it in this door back here. All right, now we've got this big blue thing up here at front. That is the engine. And we've got underwing mounted engines attached here by a pylon. We got the wings. And then these little, let's see if I can get a good shot there. These little blue tips at the end are called winglets. These help with drag to help our airplane fly through the air with less drag, which means we can go faster. And that makes the airplane more efficient and saves us gas. On the wing, we have a couple different parts. You might not be able to see them. On the back side here, this is where the flaps are. If you remember from the cockpit tour, we have a handle that will move those out. Those are used for takeoff and landing. And as we come back towards the back of the airplane, we've got this big part here. This is called the stabilizer. And the little part on the back is the rudder. Remember from the cockpit tour, we have pedals on at our feet. And when we push the pedals left and right, that makes the airplane turn the nose left and right. It's called yaw. As we come down here, these smaller wings are called the elevator. And just like an elevator in a hotel or business, they make the airplane go up and down. So when we pull back on the controls, the elevator goes down and we go up. When we want to make the airplane go down, we push forward on the controls and it makes the elevator go down and the airplane descends. So those are the major parts of the aircraft. As you can see on the top here, as we were just showing earlier, that's the exit from the cockpit, the emergency exit out of the roof there, since our windows don't open up front. And the one big part that's missing from this aircraft model, can anybody figure out what it is? Waiting for your comments. Anybody? It's the landing gear. There's no landing gear on this airplane. So landing gear would be on either side of the wing, here and here, and then there's one up in the front. So we have a tricycle landing gear aircraft. Back in the old days, they used to have aircraft that had wheels on the back. That would be a tail wheel aircraft or a tail dragger. So as the name suggests, the airplane would taxi down the runway like this with the tail touching the ground. But now we just taxi around normally with the nose wheel up here, just like a tricycle. Helps us steer around while we're on the ground. But this airplane's supposed to be shown in flight, so the landing gear is gone. So again, from the cockpit tour, we had the landing gear lever. When we lift that up, the wheels fold up, and they fold up into the bottom of the wings here on either side, and the nose wheel goes up into the bottom of the airplane up here, so that we have a nice smooth airplane, so the airplane can glide through the air nice and easy. Whee! All right, so that's it for airplane parts. We already looked at all the buttons and controls. There are a lot of them. And currently I have a model of some aircraft buttons and switches. This comes from the Boeing 727 aircraft that is no longer in passenger service. So they took this piece out of the airplane, and I was lucky enough to get a hold of it. You can see we've got different switches here that are nice and we like to call them tactile switches, because you can feel them and hear them when they're switched on and off there. Each one of these little knobs here, these are just lights that would show if the controls have been if there's low pressure in these parts of the aircraft. But you can see there's a bunch of different gauges and knobs, and when you're in school learning about the airplane, you get to learn what all of these different switches and knobs do. All right, other aircraft parts and controls. Let's see, we've got an attitude indicator. So right now, if I can figure out how to orientate this properly, the aircraft is showing in a bank. So this is the attitude indicator, which is showing whether or not we're rolling or climbing or both at the same time. So right now it's showing a level turn to the right or left. Let's see, right. So the orange wing in the middle, that's a representation of the airplane. And then we've got blue for the sky. We've got black for the ground. So if we happen to be flying in the clouds, we can use this instrument to help us understand which orientation the aircraft is at the time, since we don't have any outside visual references to see. And this comes from an older airplane as well. As you can see, there's a lot of intricate pieces and wires and parts to it. But now most newer airplanes are all digital and have electronic screens that replace that. It's still the same instrument, but now it's represented on a digital screen like your iPad. All right, we've got a couple more controls to take a look at real quick. This is an airspeed indicator. Trying not to get it too much glare there, but as you can see, we calculate our speed in knots, not miles per hour. So we use knots just like a boat. And we've got the different scales here around the outside. It shows you how fast the airplane's going. Pretty simple, just like the speedometer in your car, like your mom or dad would drive. Just shows us how fast we're going. And then finally, last one that I have here is the compass. So this helps us navigate through the sky. We have maps just like you would back in the old days when you were driving. We have maps that show us where we're going. We use GPS now as well, but as a backup, we have this compass here, and it's got some different knobs on there you can turn, and just different things to help us navigate as we're flying around up there in the sky. All right. That brings us to how we get around. So, like I said, we used to have maps. I've got one right here. This is an old school paper map that has the airspace as you can see, we've got all these different lines. This is Salt Lake City. Let's see if I can zoom in there. But you can see we have all these different lines with numbers, and those are directions on the compass that tell us which way to get to the next station. And we have an instrument in the cockpit that helps us tune into these different radio stations, and then we fly to them. And that's how we navigate around the airspace once we're in the air. Another way we get around is by the use of GPS, just like you have on your phone now or in your car. We used to have that for, or we use that in the aircraft to fly around the airspace system. So let's see here. Trying to pull up the map for you here on our screen. So as you can see, we've got a map of the United States, and this would be a flight from New York to Indianapolis. So we've got New York over here, Indianapolis on the other side, and we'll try and zoom in. Gives us a map of where we're going. And so what we do is we take these different points along the route and we put them in our GPS computer, and then we just use the airplane to fly to those. So sorry about that. That's the autopilot disconnect for the MD-88, if you all heard that. So this is the map, and this is the route we would follow all the way across the country to get to where we're going. Now that whole way we would be talking on the radio with air traffic control. We were listening to them earlier, so if you want to go back and take a listen, you can hear them on the earlier live stream, or you can check them out on live ATC radio. They've got all sorts of different radio frequencies you can listen to your heart's content. All right. Another big thing that we've got to be interested in when we're flying the airplane is the weather. So we have weather maps that we look at. So just like you would check the weather before you go to school in the morning, as pilots we get up and we check the weather in the whole country and see how things are going, and that helps us plan our route around any particular weather that we may not want to fly through. So if there was a thunderstorm or some rain, we can use these maps to help plan a route around that. Alrighty. And we've done the cockpit tour. I think that pretty much wraps it up. Went over on the time. We're at almost an hour in now between the two live streams. So appreciate y'all joining us. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. I'll stick around for a good 15 minutes or so. Feel free to leave a comment or a question, and that'll do it.
Preston 1187 with Sierra.
And Southwest 1180, Preston Southwest 836 exhaust, give way to the American.
South, give one to American 887.
And American 1187 runway, 31 taxi Alpha Golf Bravo.
Alpha Golf Bravo to 31 American 1187.
American 1187 to Golf Bravo, all the way down.
Okay, Golf Bravo, American 118731.
Southwest 836, we give way to American Golf and 06 Kilo.
We'll give way to that American, and we're going to 57, it's open.
Southwest 836, you said you got later? Hi, Southwest 836, and the Bravo Kilo Alpha.
Bravo Kilo Alpha, Southwest 836.
And Delta 1489, water ground, Senor Bravo Kilo, and give me a live PM status.
Bravo 6 Kilo, going to Delta 90 Kilo, what's now, Delta 1489.
United 2253, monitor target.
Go target 8, that's what you did see.
American 1187, all the way down, monitor target.
American 1187 today.
Thanks for the question, Mom. She has to fall for the same. They're very similar. They all have similar setup, but they differ between different manufacturers. The manufacturers you're probably aware of, Boeing, Airbus, are the two different types of airplanes out there right now. And they set them up a little bit different, just based on their engineers and how they design their airplanes, but they try and keep them all pretty similar so that as you transition from airplane to airplane, it's easier to see where everything is and know where things are. So. Hey Brandon, thanks for joining from Escanaba, Michigan. Hope things are going great up there. We're just wrapping up, unfortunately, but this will be posted on my Facebook page, so you can go back and watch it. And I'm thinking about doing at least one or two more of these, just while we're all cooped up inside. So if you have friends or family, check it out. Hopefully be sharing some more content with you. Like I said, most of the stuff will be posted on the Facebook, so you can go back and watch if you've missed any of it or joined late. Right now, we're just in a question and answer session. If anybody has any airplane-related questions, comments, anything you ever wondered about an airplane. But we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here in just about a minute or two. Hey everybody, thanks for joining. For those of you that joined late, these videos will be posted on my Facebook page, so you can go back and watch them. If you were unable to join earlier in the stream, there'll be two different ones. Unfortunately, I had a little bit of technical difficulties with Facebook Live, but we got it figured out, sort of. Since it's my first one, it's been an interesting learning experience.
And then 4805 is the Mike and Bravo behind us here. Find the American 175.
All right, I'm Mike. We'll join Bravo behind the 175.
Hope this took a. Hope this was able to keep your kids entertained and take them away from some of their normal studies, but figured we would share some aviation fun with everyone while we're all cooped up. Well, if there's no more questions, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Thanks for joining. Thanks for listening. Feel free to comment, post anything you might want to see in the future. I'll talk to you later. Bye, guys.